How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lone Wolf, and today I've got a few different things. Got some gameplay on that overturned train cargo thing. I mean, look at it, look how lazy I've got. Come out of the garage, look like, oh, do I have to drive around there? Sod it. I'll just go forward. What could possibly go wrong? Yeah, I've got some footage of the overturned train carriage. I've got some Bruce gameplay with like a semi-trailer, loads of stuff, a big sort of convoy. I was trying to snake my way to the factory. And just before we get to the train thing, skip to like 5 minutes if you just want to get straight to it. I mean, look at this thing. Is anyone else? Like, it's a trap. The ice between these two sets of logs is a goddamn trap. I am in, and I am stuck.
Son of a bitch is dug in like an Alabama tick. You're hit. You're bleeding, man. I ain't got time to bleed. Oh. Okay.
I mean, thankfully, I got myself a goddamn loaf. But, see, this is why. Do you know how many times I've not had to recover to garage because I've got a loaf with me? And do you know how many times I've had to recover to garage? And the last thing I said before I did was, God damn it, why didn't I bring a loaf? You always bring a loaf. Loaf gets you out of everything. It's a goddamn horse for a vehicle. I tried to use it as a wedge in the ice. There's a couple of concepts, by the way, more than me just messing around before we get to the train thing, is always, especially on this map, travel in pairs. If you don't want to bring a loaf and you want to take whatever you want to take, like, play it your own way, enjoy it. But yeah, for me, it's got to be the loaf. That's how I got back up on there. I was just testing it. I've done this plenty of time, if you've seen yesterday's video, but I've never actually done it like out of the ice onto a truck, so I just wanted to see if I can. I mean, look at him. He's had enough of being a little loaf wedge. And we're off. Michael Jackson moonwalks his way across the ice. See, that's what I mean. It's like sometime near the end the loaf went in. That's what she said. But until then, it was doing alright. We're going for it. I mean, look at it. Look at its grip on that wood. She must play golf. Which is good. So I like ones in holes. I mean, holes in ones. I'll show you crazy golf. I mean, what a goddamn horse of a vehicle. Saves the day every time. So, anyway, this is the end of my first ever attempt on this mission. As I said, I didn't know where I was going. After I got to the first checkpoint, I just stopped. I looked at the map. I was looking around for best routes and all sorts. So I got about 8 minutes, which is why I've cut most of it out. That's the first, like, that's the most basic way. It's you start where you are, you go over to the train carriage, and then you go... It's over to, like, there's like a little campsite on the ice where you get one of the portable cabins from. And this, I believe, is the best way. You sort of cut through that little factory or train station, go round there. The first checkpoint is there, that's between a load of train carriages, so you can't really, like, cut a lot of that gap out, otherwise you'd have to go back round anyway. And then follow that bending road is the train tracks, and then when you get to like that crossroad bit, you can either go round down that wiggly path, but there's loads of rocks there, or you can go straight ahead, cut through that abandoned factory or whatever it is, and then just keep cutting straight across. Basically, there's a little narrow gap through those rocks, go through the trees, and then, like I said, you're on that campsite that's on the ice. Most of you would have found it pretty damn quickly. That's basically a picture of it, like, as the map I've drawn. And here's just a couple of little bits and bobs before I get into my final run. I tried this many times, I tried it 3 times in a row, and every time I rolled or crashed in some different way where, I don't know, it just wasn't having it. For whatever reason, the load style wasn't liking it. I'm not saying that it's impossible or anything, but it was getting caught a lot. Even when I managed to get through this bit a bit, it was just a bit awkward. And lastly, because it is a scout mission, I just wanted to see if it's even possible to get a truck through it. And I had Bruce nearby. I'll get to that because I'm going to have some gameplay. Like, basically, there's no fuel or anything this side of the map, so I'm going to do a bit of a convoy run and drop a load of stuff off here, just so it's there for later. And I did have to use a bit of a winch there just to get my nose around. However, you wouldn't, to be fair, volunteer Bruce as the first truck for that sort of thing. But I did get through, so you should be able to do it like in trucks and stuff as well. So anyway, I gave the TUZ-16 a go. I figured like it gave it us on the map, so maybe it's pretty good for it. Got 4:41, so I was like, right, that's my time to beat. That's the time set that I want the loaf to beat. So here we go. And I've not had loads of goes with this. I believe this was my third and only go in the Loaf, and I did one go in the TUZ-16. I tried 3 times in the Lodestar, and I tried in the Bruce, and when you seen it, I basically lapped back round because I didn't actually select the mission when I cut over there, and then I rolled it the next time. So yeah, like I say, 441 to beat, that's what I'm going for. I reckon I could definitely shave some time off that, like even little bits like here when I catch my wheel on that, like I could be a bit smoother on bits, so I can definitely get a lower time, but it was more important that the old Loaf showed what he's made of and beat the TUZ-16. So you got to go up there. It's pretty cool that they've, like, again, tried to make it a bit of a crazy little narrow scout sort of passage. Those train carriages, when I drove over it, you almost look like you're floating on top of it. See, again, here as well, the first 2 times I went through it, I didn't have to use a winch or anything, I didn't get stuck. That time, well, I believe I didn't use a winch, but yeah, I got pretty caught up on it. Was more caught up on the snow behind me, to be honest, than the rock. Like, the thing climbs over rocks just fine. It's yeah, deep bits of snow though, like that. But yeah, you climb your way through here. It's obviously, I mean, if the Bruce managed to fit through there, and it got through here as well, by the way, it was a bit of a squeeze, and I did whack a tyre, but I did make it through. Those the rails, they hook onto your tyres pretty well, so you're probably best off getting over to this side sooner rather than later. Otherwise, if you're kind of driving down them, you can go to turn off now. And you see, this is where I got my secret weapon. And we're off. Got a goddamn dolphin jetpack. That was a little glitch there, it was like half a second or whatever, but that wasn't an edit. I mean, we're probably going about the same speed there, but basically you need, like, or preferably a bit of a narrow little vehicle to jump through them train carriages and stuff. But then yeah, you get to places like this where it's deep snow, and obviously a lot of the scouts, to be honest, you can get nice bits, but the snow is a bit of an awkward tosser on this game. Like, not on this game, sorry, like on this map, they've upped it a bit, and this is where, like, the sort of crossroads is, where you could go right. I went right with the Loaf. In fact, that time that was 8 minutes, that was when I went right, and then I did that wiggly path over the rocks, which I've done before with someone else, but I mean, the Loaf nailed it through there. Like, the Loaf is ridiculously good at climbing over rocks that are even, like, bigger than it, but yeah, it just wasn't very fast. Like, it's not as fast as just cutting through here, basically, with a dolphin jetpack. And then that's what I did. I flew straight through it. I don't know what they call that. It is, you have to explore that place for one of the missions, but an abandoned something. It might be a factory, but I didn't check, to be honest. But cut straight through that, and then yeah, go down the valley up this next bit. If you go kind of between, like, the trees on your left, the rocks on your right, there is a pretty easy gap to go through. And yeah, this is where now, like, the dolphin absolutely giving me a right good little boost. And I have to say, by the way, is the TUZ is very quick in high range, etc, etc, but it's almost like, well, not almost, like it's not very good on snow, really, or not very fast. Like, it struggles a lot on snow, which, considering it's got, like, very high ground clearance and all the rest of it, it looks like it shouldn't anyway. At least when you're going through in the Loaf, it looks like it's, like, yeah, a van in pretty deep snow, not like a massive tall off-road vehicle. I'm flying down here. Clipped a tree, but see, got my Loaf booster on. Bounced off another tree. Didn't even have to stop. Right now, I was like, release the dolphin. It's close enough. Bam! 428. I was pretty happy with that. Obviously, I'm going to go for an under 4 minutes, but I've been up to all sorts tonight. This, by the way, this was between the TUZ and that one you just seen. Flying down there. I mean, look at him. That bloody Ken Loaf made the gap. Released the dolphin. Can't risk it through them trees. Yeah, I was trying to beat 441 right now. I was like, come on, don't you fucking do it to me, game. Yes. made it by 1 second. Pretty goddamn happy with myself then as well, if I do say so. So anyway, that is enough of the the Overturned train carriage mission. This is basically some gameplay. There's no missions. It's just me cruising along with Bruce. I stopped there. I was like, well, there's something missing. So I went and got myself a White Western Star, Walter, and a van body. But then I was like, well, I mean, you know, there is something missing. Aha. That's what it is. I put the big crane. I didn't even remember or whatever that you could put the big crane on the Voron Grad, but you can. It's like, whew, it was close. Almost had to abandon the whole goddamn mission. But we're all good. Got myself a loaf. You may proceed, Bruce. And we're off. Yeah, like I say, there's no mission gameplay on this one. It's just me. Basically, where I went and got that contest from, or where you go to do the contest, it's the same place you get the prototype radar trailer thing. I believe there is another 1 or 2 missions there. And yeah, there's no fuel that side of the map. There's no, fuel stations. There's no garage. There's no trailers that were already there that have got fuel in or anything. So I've been around that sort of side of the map before, and it's just like, obviously I can take a loaf, I've got fuel on me, blah blah blah. But in the long run, I mean, I suppose this game kind of gives you a hint that this is possibly a good idea to do. Like on Pedro Bay, I don't believe that has any fuel stations. I could be wrong, but I don't even think it has a trailer store either, so you can't even do the trick where you just buy a trailer, repair and refuel yourself and then sell it back. But on Pedro Bay there was a semi-trailer, like fuel semi-trailers like this, sort of dotted around the map, that one day will have to be towed out of there and I suppose sold, bought back full of fuel and dropped back off. But yeah, I mean, this thing holds 3,700 litres, so that's going to last me plenty of time on that other side of the map. And as and when the time comes, I'll just take it back, swap it out for a new one. Looks like a big space shuttle thing to me. I am more than prepared to strap a loaf onto it and attempt space flight. And funny enough, I remember watching this years ago, but for some reason it made me think of it. Obviously, Russia got the first man-made object in space with Sputnik. Congratulations. However, I remember seeing something a while ago, and I actually think America got the first man-made object into space, but not on purpose. Like, Russia did it on purpose, and they, like, the record stands, but not long before Sputnik got into space, obviously America was testing nuclear weapons, and for whatever reason they started burying them underground. I think it was just so it doesn't release as much radiation and stuff. And they did one called Operation Plumbbob, and they basically drilled like a hole about a mile underground, put the nuke at the bottom, and then plugged the hole up with some cement, and then put this massive, like, big thick slab of metal over the top of the hole, like a giant manhole cover, but just like a hell of a lot bigger and thicker. And yeah, it must have weighed a hell of a lot. I was going to say weighed a ton, but it's probably a hell of a lot more than that. Anyway, so they set this nuke off, and they had high-speed camera filming like what was happening, and then they noticed on the high-speed camera that in one frame you could see this lid, this like giant manhole lid thing, had gone shooting up in the air, and it only appeared on one frame. And basically the guy who was in charge of like all the high-speed filming in that, he calculated for it to only appear in one frame and then be gone on the next one means it must have been travelling a minimum speed of about 125,000 miles an hour, and it could be more than that, could have been going a million miles an hour, but it definitely at least 125,000 miles an hour. And yeah, to get from like the Earth's surface to what is officially sort of deemed the edge of space is about 100 kilometres, and at 125,000 miles an hour, that would have took it 0.0005 seconds to go from the surface of the Earth to space. And to put that into perspective, that's about 1,000 times quicker than you can blink. And obviously some people have said, oh no, it would have been vaporised. personally, I obviously don't know, but this is just my gut feeling, because what basically happened was, the reason why it shut up is not just because the nuke went off. Like, that concrete plug that was kind of, yeah, plugging the hole up so it's not just a nuke going off and it fires straight out of the hole, but the nuke basically kind of vaporized the bottom half of the concrete and turned it into a gas, which very rapidly expanded and fired the manhole lid like a giant gun barrel with a nuclear bomb instead of, yeah, the cartridge of like a 9mm bullet. And so the heat of the nuke didn't necessarily hit the manhole cover because there was like rapidly expanding gases, and yeah, I believe it like actually genuinely made it to space, because the only other option is that it vaporized before it made it to space, but there's one frame of picture where it's not vaporized, so it made it off the ground at incredibly high speed without vaporizing, and unless it vaporized in 0.0005 of a second, which I'm not saying can't happen, and I don't know, but I mean, that's going to have to be some serious transfer of energy. Basically, meteorites enter the Earth's atmosphere. They can be going faster than that, but they can enter at like 20,000 miles an hour, all that sort of speed. They do, again, they can go like 125,000 miles an hour and so on. But plenty of asteroids make it through the atmosphere. Not all do, and some blow up. But they're also hitting it from like the, I don't know, the non-dense end, and it starts getting denser as the asteroid comes through. That manhole lid had to start off at ground level, and then the atmosphere got thinner and thinner. So yeah, I know that's just a random ramble while I'm driving my Bruce Convoy, but I honestly think there's a pretty good chance that America accidentally sent the first man-made object into space, and if it was going 125,000 miles an hour, then there's a possibility that it's actually the furthest man-made object from Earth at the minute, because I know there's like the Voyager 1 spacecraft, but this thing got technically shot into space like 10 or 20 years earlier, and once it had made it to the edge of space, I mean, there's nothing to stop it, so yeah, I just thought that was pretty cool, pretty random, but I'd love to know what happened to it. One day, someone will find it. Technology goes on that quick that one day Voyager 1 will probably be retrieved from space and it'll just be sat in some museum. And the most depressing part of that is that then years after that, it'll be wheeled to the back of some dusty warehouse to make way for some other shit, like who knows by then, bloody Snapchat on a dog's waistcoat or something insane. But anyway, that's enough about space. See, this is this ice again, I'm going round it. Like, hell no. I don't care if I start dragging Walter through there, because Bruce has got some good old pulling power, it wouldn't matter, but yeah. Like, there's no way, not with Bruce's chin. I'll be in there all day. That ice is honestly, I know the other ice is pretty fun and you can make it through it. That ice, for me at least, I don't think I've ever just drove in it. In fact, no, I did, I believe, on the first night, and then ever since then, that ice has just been like, I can't make it through with one vehicle. I was trying to trying to get a nice little shot, and I yeah, swerved off the road. See though, had I rolled there or something, I now wouldn't have to, yeah, disconnect trailer, recover to garage and drive all the way back. Like, it is just good practice in this game to get used to driving in pairs, basically, whatever you're doing. Like I say, that's why I always take a loaf, because it just weighs not a lot or anything, so especially with the stuff like the Dolphin in high gear, you don't even notice. Bruce wouldn't care whether it was or wasn't. But yeah, there's like a lot of situations where it can just get you out of a bit of trouble, really. I kind of wish as well that they would just add the ability to hook at least 2 trailers together, but I don't know, yeah, 2 to 5 trailers would be nice. Like, having a good old road train on the go would be pretty cool. I've seen a few on YouTube. They've got quite a lot of like Australian road trains. They've got a lot of them use the big Kenworths, and then I've seen a few using like a Scania 10 by 10 as well. Sort of looks a bit like this actually, just with a bit of a taller cab. But yeah, it'd be pretty cool if they added some stuff like that. So going through, I've already pumped, that might have been where I punched through with a loaf. I knew with the brute, if I went really tight to that telegraph pole, that I'd probably be alright. I was kind of banking on there not being ice right around that pole. And I sort of got lucky. I finally got here like fine, or 3.10. I really don't like 3.10. To be honest, that's part of the reason why I was enjoying this gameplay myself. Like, I quite like, yeah, making sort of the longest combination of vehicles and that you can. And then trying to drive it around. Obviously, I've got to keep trying to go wide for corners so I don't keep hooking it on everything. And I possibly could have used a bit of a faster truck, but in all honesty, I've been liking Bruce on this map. It's pretty good because he's got good grip and everything. And the nose isn't that much of an issue, really. I wouldn't recommend going over a load of like crazy rocky places, but just for ploughing through snow and all down the icy roads and that, it's definitely not bad. So we finally got here. This is the the train station. So you can see that contest there. That's the overturned train carriage one. Just about squeeze it through there, and we're good. Pretty happy checking out the old thumbnail situation. Well, I think that's the one that could make it. So quickly wanted to park my trailer. Like I say, I'm just going to leave this trailer here and that's it. Got a little bit over keen. I'll be honest, I forgot about rear steer and I went a bit more than I had anticipated. However, this was genuinely exactly where I wanted to put the trailer. Like, first time I was like, god dang, that went better than I thought. So I'm certainly no professional at reversing trailers. Just keep reversing at it until it works. I mean, look at him. He's a goddamn fuel loaf. It's like a stoner. It's like, holy shit, man. He just blew my goddamn mind. And then, trying to get my trailer in here. Well, when she says it won't fit, you're like, are you sure? Are you sure you're not just malnourished? Give her a little squeeze on the shoulder. I believe in you. That's not what I've heard. You see? I was able to fit a whole goddamn trailer in there. Loads of professional. He likes parking them trailers. So yeah, that's about it for today. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon.